What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, Aqua Life Baby. You already know how it is. So today's video, guy, I wanted to really kind of focus in on Valeos here and just show you something that I have been really testing out lately, and it's really made me want to just get my hands on Valeos and really start playing it. And it's really just kind of like abusing this combo with a certain set of cards. Now, when we looked at Valeos before, when he had come out, right? Originally in G Series, the deck around him wasn't great. I liked his skill. It was something that was unique to Aqua Force, and it was really cool. And he's also, the artwork for him is obviously amazing. But the deck built around him didn't really support him well, and it was his Stride card, really good, and something that I wish that we had gotten during the Stride era. I thought his Stride was really good and something that we could have used. But again, it was whatever. I wasn't really too focused on premium then, anyways. But then I look at Valeos when he gets his retrain in the V series, and again, I'm really mad that they kind of announced and are coming out with this quality of support where it's not like overtly broken, but it's just kind of like just some good solid cards. Like as far as the design goes, I really wish that they had done this before they had announced anything for Overdress, because to be perfectly honest, my mindset, and much like a lot of other people, has been on Overdress and kind of just waiting for the reveals and things for for what they're going to do in Overdress as V series is coming to an end. But I still love the game, and I still wanted to give my boy Valeos here really like a fair, good old Aqua Life Baby shake at being, relevant in the game, and something that you can enjoy taking to tournaments and whatnot. What I do is, like, a lot of times I analyze a card, I look at what his skill does, and then I look at the wide array of things in our card pool and what cards best fit to support his skill and his play style. And I generally do that for all the decks I play, but really, like, what am I going to do to maximize the value that his skill and his play style and the deck built around him is going to be? Again, looking at his skill, we get the minus 5,000 and power freeze ability just for a counterblast soul blast. Not too bad. For a persona blast, we get to kind of get again, we get the pseudo Megiddo skill where we nuke our Excel markers or just all of our markers, and we get a full fixed board. So we get to really kind of make an ideal board with the standard circles that you play with in Vanguard. And then you have the free wheel assault ability to exchange 2 units. So overall, I think he's a very well-designed card, really well built, but nothing like too super spicy or exciting. That is what's determined generally, especially when it comes in the case of Aqua Force, that is generally determined by the support around the unit. The deck is generally, for Aqua Force, never built around the actual unit. It's about how the unit supports the rest of the deck, at least historically speaking, how the unit supports the rest of the deck and the play styles that work alongside it. So then I was testing out different things. I was testing out Ravon, testing out like Diamantes, which wasn't super horrible, by the way, because of the power freeze. It was not super horrible, actually. But I don't like his discard cost for the hand and everything. And even to a degree, Navigate, just trying to figure out what can I do to help maximize him. Stumbled upon George, right? He was a card that really helped me out during my sneak peek when I had a few copies of him. And what he basically does is that when he attacks on the rearguard circle, when he attacks, you can stand one of your back row rearguards. So I thought, that's pretty cool. His other ability is that when you ride him, you get your Excel gift and you get to do a seat counter blast 1, soul blast 1, 2 minus 5k to one of your opponent's Vanguard. So it's not too horrible. He's like a on place, fort vessel that has a much better rearguard skill. So then I was thinking to myself, okay, well, what, while I'm looking at this, okay, so he can stand a back rear guard. I looked at my grade 1 lineup, and I'm just like, hold on. This card can restand Dolcia, which is a card I was already playing in my deck, but then it's like, oh, wait, he can restand Dolcia. because her Vanguard ability is to discard a card from your hand and draw a card, so she kind of helps you dig through your deck so you can get to your proper rise. But then her other ability is that if your opponent's Vanguard is different from its original power, that you can attack from the back. So riding on George or being on Valeos, any of your boss units, meet her conditions so that she could attack from the back row. And so I'm like, hold on. The more Georges that I have out on the board means more attacks that dolcia is going to have on my opponent. Because, they kind of errated him so that he's like a once per turn ability, but that's really just once per turn per copy, not, a hard once per turn, because they would say this ability cannot be used by the same card for the rest of the turn. So it doesn't have that type of hard once per turn, it's just a once per turn ability. So I was playtesting this and I was like, hold on. Now this is not my build. I do not have a finalized build, anything like that. I just wanted to see what I can do by maxing out copies of George and dolcia. How often, how creative, and how effective is this combo that I'm thinking of. And I kind of wanted to do a kind of like a test and kind of just show you guys what like more or less a perfect board state would look like, and how many attacks you can get off in this while your opponent's Vanguard's power is frozen at 7 or 8k. Damage triggers doesn't matter, and you're going to be they're going to have to commit cards from the hand or be willing to take some damage. So let me put I'll go ahead and pause it here. I'll be right back with you and show you what I mean when I get everything set up. All right, so here's kind of like the board setup, and I really would honestly consider this kind of like my ideal field. And now it's one of those things where you can really like kind of like do the Megiddo skill to nuke your Excel markers and kind of create this board if you have the appropriate cards in your drop zone, obviously. But really what I wanted to do was maximize how many attacks you had. Now remember, we're going to pay Valeos' cost of a Counterblast 1, and we're going to Soul Blast 1 card. And so your opponent's Vanguard's power is reduced, is locked at 7 or 8. Anything that's 8k can touch for the rest of this turn. So we're trying to see how many attacks can we get off in a turn, how many times can we abuse the opponent with dolcia, like, how many times is she going to hit them. So one of the key kind of like the key cards to doing this, just again, and he's really just in here just to maximize the amount of attacks that that you have during the turn. Really, but you can also swap him out for another unit. You could put him in as a this could be like another dolcia, and you could put this in the back row, or keep this in the front row, whatever. As long as you have 2 copies of George or 3 copies of George and a dolcia, and either another dolcia and 2 dolcia or George, or Galliot, whatever, right? So generally what I'm liking to do is like, and you're not going to, this is like kind of like a perfect board state. You're not guaranteed to hit triggers, things like that. Just a disclaimer, whatever it is, don't take it as the end all be all, but I think it's pretty damn good. So a lot of what this board is what I would want to do is really swing with Valeos first, because if I'm able to hit a trigger, doesn't matter if it's a crit, draw, whatever it is, I want to stack that on my dolcia. I want to be able to force my opponent to have to spend more shield guarding dolcia than anything else, and how many times they can guard it. So we've already got 1 attack off. We threw our Vanguard at the opponent. Then what we can do is we can swing with dolcia at the opponent's Vanguard. Okay, we'll swing for 18, get out of 15k shield. That's 2 attacks. We can swing with George and restand the dolcia. All right, so that's 3 attacks. Swing with the dolcia, and then after you swing with the George or the dolcia, you can do it that way. So we've already done 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks on our opponent. Now we swap with the George. We could do another George attack here, 5, restand, and then 6. Now we've gotten off 6 attacks already by just this little quartet of cards here, right? So now we have Galliot. We can swing Galliot, Soul Blast 1, and then we can just go ahead and swap with good boy George here. There's attack number 7, and then what you can do is swing George, Attack number 8, restand the dolcia and swing dolcia as the last attack of the turn. If she has a crit stacked on her and she's swinging for 2 crit, she's swinging a lot of times. But we got off 9 attacks, right? She swung once after the Vanguard, once after the first George, once after the second George. There's already 3 times that she's attacked. So, and then swung this and then swung that. So she's attacked 4 out of the 9 times that we had attacked our opponent. And yes, this was with an extra crit, so she's dealing a lot of damage. But even if you don't hit anything, like, if you just in phase and you don't hit anything, she's still swinging a multiple amount of times. You're getting out potentially 9 cards out of your opponent's hand with kind of this setup. And even if you don't have this perfect setup, the more Georges that you have on board, the more attacks that your dolcia is going to have on an opponent's Vanguard that is frozen. Again, I'm still tweaking, still working on the build. Again, nothing is final, but this is definitely a combo that in testing has worked out very well. And this is something that I definitely want to keep playing around with, keep tweaking, keep improving, because getting to my copies of George on the rearguard circle is definitely pertinent to maximizing your dolcia, and also being able to help maximize the what Valeos can do for you. And again, if it gets to the end of the game, you have the setup in your drop zone, and the fact is that you can pay his Soul Blast cost in as well, and you can, if you have the dolcia or the George and the Soul, but you don't have it on the board, you can pay the Soul Blast cost, Counterblast 1 Soul Blast cost, to minus your opponent's Vanguard to put this card in there, then do the Persona Blast and then do the Persona Blast so you can finish setting up your board for the combo. And again, if you don't have the Galliot, another copy of her is just fine. Again, you're still getting off 9 attacks. It's just another attack without a cost. But that is the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I just want to show you something that I've really been working on for Valeos, really to kind of just bring him into the light a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Cardfight King, Aqua Life Baby. You already know how it is, and we out of here. I'm also going to do a playtesting stream as well pretty soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be today or tomorrow, but I will put out a post on the community page and let you guys know. All right, we're out.